Crypto bull signals flashing, but will there be a little reset before it breaks out? What a wonderful weekend, 4th of July weekend. Hope you all had an absolutely incredible time. But we've got some major things impacting what's going on in the markets right now. We got to dive into this together. I'm getting this retweeted out. You all do the same. Hit that like button, subscribe button, ding the bell. We got to talk about Bitcoin, Ethereum, BNB, and Ethereum and BNB. Very important because these may have a dramatic impact on really kicking off the alt season everybody has been waiting on. So with that being said, everybody strap in. Good morning. I want to see you guys active in the live chat. Good morning from Atlanta. Where are you guys tuning in from? GM from Atlanta. I'm typing that in the live chat. Everybody else get active in the live chat as well. Let's go ahead and dive into this because we got some key signals we need to be watching in the crypto market. I think we're in for some fireworks in the charts. So let's stay prepared. Let's go. What's up, everybody? I'm here with you, Kellam here from BitLab Academy, and we're going to be diving into some of these super bullish charts that are signaling some major impact to the upside may be coming. But does that mean we cannot see a little bit of downside action before we get that moonshot? Well, we got some critical signals that we're seeing on Ethereum and BNB, which just may be signaling that this alt season everybody's been waiting on is actually underway to likely be getting started soon. Or is there going to be no alt season at all? We got a lot to talk about today, everybody. I hope you had an absolutely fantastic weekend. I see you, Michael Carter, H-Bar. I see you, Renegade Designers. I see you, St. Goose. I see you, Taco Fisher. I see people both live chatting on YouTube and on X, and as well as Rumble. Everybody's here. We're here together. Shout out to our channel partners, Bitcoin IRA. Make sure you're investing in a way also for your future. And if you're trading alts and you're trading alts into Bitcoin, why not do that in a tax sheltered way that actually sets your future up? Head over to bitcoinira.com. And I got a big announcement that I got some things plugged in with on Bitcoin IRA with the new listing that's coming in a very near future. So we're going to be making that announcement soon. But you can trade over, I think, almost 80 different altcoins, 80 coins on there. So make sure you check that out. Let them know Kellam from BitLab sent you. It's a great way to make sure you're keeping your future in sight, but also helping us keep our lights on over here. Also, shout out to Arculus. Best crypto cold storage solution there is. GetArculus.com. Use code BitLab20. That's the numbers, BITLAB20 for 20% off. Now let's dive in to what we want to look at, because what we're seeing right now in the markets is everything really, despite all the hope, excitement, fear, frustration, the price action on the entire crypto market cap has been hovering. Look at this, flat. I mean, this is absolutely flat, like a heartbeat, with the price action across everything indexed into one giant metric of the total market cap is still sitting here at $3.35 trillion. It's been in this basically right at the $3.3 trillion range for quite some time yet. Everything feels like it is just coiling into a tighter and tighter spring before we get some major moves. And they may be in both direction. So Kelly, what channel is Ollie watching? That's just Dog TV on YouTube. She's actually laying right over there. I don't know if you, let me see if I can get your camera on her. Let me see. Can you see? Oh, hold on. Let me go right here. You should be able to see her if I go like that. It's very hard to see with like, she's licking some peanut butter right now. Can I do this? I can't do undo. There we go. She's licking some peanut butter in a Kong, just having a good time. And I got the dog music on in the background, so that way it keeps her calm. But let's dive in because we got some critical things that we need to look at. Now, again, what was on, was it Friday? Friday was July 4th. Well, what was it about? Did you know that the British flooded the States with fake continental currency units? Essentially, why is this all jacked up? Boom, right there. Let me come back to this. I'm going to say that again so we can clip it. There we go. All right, July 4th. Very important. July 4th was Friday, and what was it all about? We're in Bitcoin, and we're watching S&P 500, we're watching inflation, we're watching bad policy decisions potentially with the governments that were a part of it. It doesn't matter what government you're in. It doesn't matter what political party you're in. They're all just printing money to infinity. But why did we have July 4th? It's Independence Day of the US. Do you know that during that the British flooded the States with fake continental currency? Inflation was economic warfare, and it still is, except they gloss over it now in the media. This isn't just a monetary revolution. It's financial revolution within yourself, financial sovereignty. And this is a post that came out from People's Reserve, because this really is. Bitcoin is the digital 1776. 1776 being the birth of our nation. You know what, we were fighting over 2% taxes. 2% taxes on tea. Do you guys remember that? Now we're over here arguing about, is Bitcoin worth it? What is the dollar worth other than continued devaluation? So considering this, let's use this as our frame of reference when we're trying to adjust our appetite and the way we're spending our time and the way we're investing our money, because economic warfare is inflation, and this is what we're dealing with. And this is one of the reasons why we're paying so much attention to what's going on in the economy. In this case, we also have the tariff trade war deadline was supposed to be July 9th, which is 2 days from now. And we just got word this morning that the U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, can never say his name right, we are going to have several trade announcements in the next 48 hours. Now, in some ways, I think this is a bit of just media fodder to keep, positive momentum going, because the deadline is the 9th, although they did move it to August 1st. But August 1st in reality is the date that all the tariffs, the new established tariffs, are going into effect. But in this case, they are actively working on different deals. In fact, we saw some other news this morning, which I'm going to show you here in a second, that they're already making headway on some of these deals. So we should start seeing some positive bullish pressure if we do start getting deals coming in and people can forecast out, because there's some clarity about what's happening. And it's not just broad and random. We also see President Trump just released the letters he sent to the Prime Minister of Japan and the Prime Minister of Korea. We will charge a tariff of only 25%. So we are starting to get forward momentum on getting some of this tariff confusion, the tariff uncertainty that's made the markets see a lot of just up and down. In this case, this is like coming into this trade war right here, where we had the massive sell-off, and then, it's actually, okay, fear, but then here's data, boom, data. For those of us that bought this bottom down here, when I told you on April 7th that this is a great buying opportunity, we have a beautiful V-shaped recovery. We've broken out to new all-time highs. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a little bit of a pullback here to retest this previous range high here, or even a little bit deeper down into this level here. It's going to be very questionable in terms of a bullish continuation. If that, and this may be true for Bitcoin as well, if this comes down and loses $6,000, or sorry, $6,000. If this comes down and loses really this 59.70, then this may just be a big fake out. We may see some struggle bus in the markets, but I'm very bullish on what's coming. It feels like all things are aligning to move forward with certainty, because certainty is what gives confidence to invest in markets. We've got the V-shaped recovery. We're seeing bullish strength breaking into new all-time highs in the stock market, and yet we're not yet seeing that reflected in the Bitcoin price. We have not yet broken to new all-time highs like we see here on the S&P 500. Bitcoin remains basically in a consolidation accumulation range, just at that $105,000 to $109,000 range. Will we continue seeing that? In fact, as bullish as we are, you still have to be prepared for another washout to the downside. Contradictingly, this feels bizarre, but because things are so bullish, it sets up the likelihood that we may wash out everybody that's so bullishly excited. And by wash out, I mean those that are just over leveraged and not paying attention. I am overwhelmingly bullish on where this price action goes into the end of the year. But what that means between now and August is anybody's guess. I'm prepared in both directions on the price action. I hope you are too. But the data is suggesting right now that there's more bullish strength than bearish fear. So we're getting some things moving on the tariff and the trade deals. But we also see issues with Elon Musk and Trump. Yet again, what are we seeing? Well, Elon Musk actually made comments over the weekend where somebody said basically, hey, you're starting this new party. Is it going to embrace Bitcoin? And Elon Musk says flat out, fiat is hopeless. Fiat is your dollars. Fiat is your Canadian dollars. Fiat is the Turkish lira. Fiat is the government money that you're using in whatever local area that you're living. That is fiat money. And he's essentially saying fiat is hopeless. And this is because that money is printed into infinity. So he's essentially giving the stamp of approval, excuse me, the stamp of approval for Bitcoin. And in this case, I actually have a bit of a prediction here. I think that Elon Musk, and this might be a combination of between Tesla, SpaceX, and X, this platform here, will become likely one of the top 3 holders of Bitcoin in the next 3 years. Tesla has $37 billion in cash on hand and already holds over $1 billion worth of Bitcoin. Musk is also furious with the president right now with the persistent dollar destruction. It feels like he's so dug into all of this money printing is nonsense. All of this over budgeting and the trade deficit and the budget deficit and just printing, adding another $4 to $5 trillion on the U.S. debt. He's so angry at this that he has now essentially launched a third party, or in the middle of trying to launch a third party outside of Democratic, outside of Republican, and just say, hey, this is the America Party. Well, he's also got the biggest social media presence out in the world, as you know, also being the head of X, also runs Tesla, also runs SpaceX. He is a visionary. And he, more than anything, he is tech. He is science. He is physics focused. And all of these things are what Bitcoin is. So I can see him making a very big move if he hasn't already silently been doing so off the books, you know, basically in some of his private accounts, or if he just makes a big announcement in the near future about what they're going to actively do. We'll have to see. We have to see how this plays out. This may or may not happen, but I predict in the next 3 years, Elon Musk, including his companies, I think he will be one of the largest Bitcoin holders out there. So let's pay attention to this feud that's going on, because remember, inflation is economic warfare. It was back when we started the country in 1776, and it is now, except now we have something outside of the system, and that is Bitcoin. And we also have one of the biggest voices in the world, Elon Musk, now saying positive things, also substantiating further some of the things that he's done in the past, which he already started, stacking Bitcoin and has held on to it for the last few years. And beyond that, we also see Ethiopia mining Bitcoin puts them ahead of 140 other countries. Why did I say this? Because Ethiopia just announced they earned $200 million from mining Bitcoin in the last 6 months. These stories start to catch like wildfire against the countries out there that are further down that economic list, the ones that are further down the GDP list, the ones like Bhutan, like Ethiopia, like El Salvador. And I'm not saying anything against those nations, but typically when you have somebody like an individual or a country that has a lot of money, the focus is more about preserving that money and seeing small returns and gains. When you're much further down that economic scale, whether you're a person or a country, there's a lot more of an appetite to take on risk so you can start to potentially leapfrog. And in this case, is it really a risk to take on Bitcoin? I think in a lot of people's minds it is, because there isn't legacy of 50 or 80 or 100 years. However, when you look at Bitcoin and you realize Bitcoin trades 365, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, there has been more time traded in Bitcoin than the stock market since the 70s. How could that be? Because the stock market closes at night, opens in the morning. It closes on the holidays, closes on the weekends. There have been more trading hours of Bitcoin than there have of the stock market in the last 50 years. So in some ways, is Bitcoin only 14, 15 years old, 16, whatever it is, 16 years old now? Or do you look at it in the time in the markets based on how much is traded? All of this is sort of fodder for debate, and it doesn't matter. The point here is Bitcoin is becoming so substantiated by not only the math, the provability, the transparency, the efficiency, but also the fact that we have nations racing to figure out what their strategy is going to be to get stacked so that they can, one, yes, also preserve your wealth. But right now, those who jump in earliest, before other countries, stand to gain the most. Is there risk involved? Sure. But in my opinion, the risk nowadays is, do you hold Bitcoin? Do you have a Bitcoin strategy? Now, beyond that, we got some other stuff because I want to get into some TA and some other things here. And check this chart out right here. Bitcoin cycle is closely tied to the strength of the global M2. Global liquidity. Cool. There's a lot of words here. What does this really break down to? You can see these three different phases here, three different phases. And again, 1, 2, 3 different phases here. Now, what we're seeing here is that also a new phase that I believe that we have entered. And I've talked about this quite a bit on my channel here, especially on the, oops, let me switch over here to, there we go. On my channel, what we see is this new phase that we've been in. This phase right here, the world racing to stack Bitcoin. We've never been here before. We've never been in the phase where corporations are racing to stack. We've never been in the phase where mainstream media and presidents of countries and the administration in the US and the regulatory body, everything is on board of trying to figure out how we can do the most effective thing possible to support and empower Bitcoin and the digital asset sector. This is a new phase. In some ways, I don't think we're going to really see the 4-year cycle play out like everybody, or not everybody, a lot of people are expecting. But because we're in here, we can also see on this chart that we just highlighted, where did that go? On this chart that we just highlighted, we have these two second phases here. This is partly because of what I just talked about. Now, when we enter and we see what's going on in the price action here and the metric trend here, the high global cash influx, okay? The changes, the rate of changes in the global liquidity. Well, we see this sort of play out much like we see right in here, much like we've seen in the last cycle here. We are coming in just like we see right here. Look, this peak isn't the peak of the price action. This peak preceded the peak of price action, much like I still think very much so we're about to see an epic move to the upside. Now, will it still continue to stair step? Probably so. But I think we're going to start seeing these big moves up and then consolidation, big move up and then consolidation, big move up. This doesn't look big. Okay, well, let's look at it on the price action. Let's just see what that not so big move, okay, even from this point here, that is a 66% move. Cool. Well, let's see what that looks like on this chart right here where we can actually see everything. What's a 66% move from here? I have to scroll down on this just to do it. Okay, God dang it. 66% move from this zone. Let's see, that would put us at $180,000. Now, are we going to get that move again? Probably not. It's going to be something similar, but having its own rhyme, its own rhythm, that's also going to, in some ways, emulate some of the moves that we've seen here so far, especially with the big money involved, that's able to trap price in these ranges until there's no ability to hold down the pressure of the bulls. We're getting overwhelming purchasing power on a daily basis, exponentially more purchasing happening than new Bitcoin mined. Remember, there's only 3.125 Bitcoin mined every 10 minutes, okay? Every 10 minutes, there's a little over 3 Bitcoin made. Well, we're seeing an exponential, it's about 450 Bitcoin if I'm correct. We can see massive purchasing pressure in the markets. Even if you look at just ETFs, when you understand this, it changes your viewpoint on being potentially a little bit bearish. Only 450 Bitcoin mined a day. I'm trying to speak slowly so the goddamn fucking website load, you piece of shit. Come on. God damn. You pay for 1 gigabit internet connection and it acts like you got ISDN in 1997. Come on, load, you piece of shit. Come on. I believe in you. All right, screw you. I'm not using you anymore. Bitcoin magazine. There we go. Let's come over here. Charts. Here we go. Let's see. Bitcoin Treasury. I don't know. It's not loading. Okay, here we go. So look at this. 450 mined a day. Well, on Thursday, okay, let me say all that again. People are worried right now that Bitcoin is it too high? Is it bearish? May it potentially break down? There's only 450 Bitcoin mined a day. Right now, we have such large institutions involved and big money players and also world governments looking at Bitcoin, trying to figure out what their strategy is. And they're now they're coming into Bitcoin more and more exponentially. And beyond that, again, only 450 new Bitcoin are mined a day. Whereas you're seeing BlackRock on Thursday alone bought 2,000 Bitcoin. Fidelity bought 2,159. Arc 21 shares got 1,000. Grayscale got 53. Bitwise got 141. I mean, this is, look at this, 5,662 versus only 450 new Bitcoin that were mined. And this is happening on a consistent basis. And this is just what I'm showing you here. This is just ETF data. This is not Bitcoin treasury companies buying Bitcoin. This is not corporate institutions, sovereign bodies out there buying Bitcoin. This is just the ETF appetite and what is happening here. And at some point, this dam is going to break and the market is going to absolutely moonshot to the upside and come into these targets that we've talked about for quite some time here, which are very doable targets. I think if we hit 158 and it breaks down from here, which is just projected the low end of the likely target, I think this would upset a lot of people. Not only would it upset a lot of people, I think this would provide an incredible bull trap up into here, a breakdown. Everybody thinks the market's over, and then the price action actually continues up into the 213 to 270, $270,000 region. We have to pay attention here because the exponential buying pressure that's coming in with more and more corporations, institutions, high net worth individuals, countries, states, this dam is going to break and this is going to melt to the upside. This is what I'm talking about. So when we look at this and we realize that this has always preceded the final leg of the bull market, look at this, the peak here, this is where that peak was, right here. The most explosive part of the market was after this. We've just gotten that here. I think we've got some huge upside. Now look at this right here from On-Chain College. When you zoom in on this, patience is a virtue. This is essentially a terminal price here on the 2-year moving average multiplier, basically an investor tool here, which you can get on Bitcoin Magazine Pro. This is suggesting somewhere in the $320,000 range as a top. Is that too high? Is that too moon boyish for you? Is it? Well, this is what I suggested. A halfway move of this. Divide this in half. Divide the move from where we're at to 326 and only get half that move. That would still represent a top at $217,000. We have so much higher to go. So am I only going to exit and take profit at this level because this chart says it? No, that's not how you make money in this market. You start to layer out. If you're trading this and not holding super long term, then you start to layer out once we get to 120, once we get to 150, once we get to 180. You take small chunks out and put them in either cash, or stablecoin, or something, whatever other investment vehicle that you're looking at, or a safety play. But we've got so much higher to go. That's the whole point here. Now, beyond that, we do have some calls. As bullish as I am for where this price action is going, as bullish as I am, this worries me a little bit. This chart, which I also have on the thumbnail. Speculation or strength? Well, Binance volume here, when we're looking at futures, people trading on leverage and perpetual futures and derivatives and, all these, multipliers, or balanced or spot dominant, meaning people go in with $100 and they buy $100 worth of Bitcoin. That's called spot. So what we're seeing here with the very bright colors, this means that this is more dominated by leverage players rather than spot. Well, we see spot coming into the bottom here. We pushed up, got a little futures heavy. We got to sell off. A little futures heavy. We got to sell off. Spot all the way up here. Cool. Got a little futures heavy. This was opposite. This was short. People were going short here. The market reversed to the upside. Now, on this case, because we have a lot of bullish strength, we can look at the liquidation levels, the liquidation heat map, and realize, let's come out here. Let's refresh this. We can look at the liquidation heat map and see that we have leverage on both sides. We've got quite a bit of a pocket down here at 106,720. This basically 106.7. This zone down here wouldn't surprise me if we came down to scoop this up. It's the brightest light, the largest group of huge amounts of liquidity that market makers can push into and essentially scoop up free liquidity. Scares a lot of people, also cleans out the over leveragedness and brings back a bit more of a healthy market. So, Celinda Anderson says 105.5. Shout out to all the BitLab members out there. I figured out a way with, by the way, shout out to everybody that, whether you're a paying BitLab member for the Discord, whether you're a BitLab member here on the YouTube, or you're just a Discover Investments group, that Discord member, and you join through that. But for you BitLab YouTube members that pay here, I figured out a way. I'm doing these morning streams in that Discord. I'm going to start uh, live streaming those as I'm doing them. They're short. They're like it's between 15 and 30 minutes, about 3-4 days a week. I do with Drew. I'm going to start live streaming those on a private, uh, basically private link for members here on BitLab. And just shout out there if you are a BitLab member. Also, if you're not a member but you're subscribed, make sure this little bell right here, this is what we mean when we say ding the bell. Make sure this says all, because sometimes I post things to the page, to the public page for about 5 minutes, even if it's just for members, just to reward those of you that have your notifications on. And the where you see this when I'm doing these things for membership, right here on posts, you see these. Sometimes I do members only. Sometimes I do public. You see, I never even deleted this one. This was a private members thing. If you have your bell on, you will get notified when I post the links in here. We've had a long time sort of changing over from that separate BitLab Discord into the joint Discord that we're doing with Drew from Blockchain Basement, Discover Crypto, BitLab Academy. We're all in one place now. If you were ever a paying member at BitLab and that stopped, send me an email at help@bitlabacademy.com. Let me know. I'll send you a coupon code so you can get a massively reduced price. If you're currently a paying member at BitLab and you haven't moved and you're wondering why there hadn't been activity there, we have this whole super group Discord now with live trading. It's all happening all day long with DZ, myself, Joshua, Jake, Drew, TJ, portfolio reviews, DeFi workshops, on-chain data workshops. Morning live streams. But if that's maybe a little too costly for you and you've never been a BitLab member, join me here on BitLab Academy. Become a member. It's like $1.25 a week. Just join, become a member, and I'll post some of those membership only live streams that I'm a part of in here, so you guys get access to that. So shout out to all of you. Big love to you. DeFi crypto airdrops is in there as well, doing DeFi workshops. But we got some more stuff to look at. So super bullish what we're seeing. As scary as this might be, we also have the hype train just absolutely running like wild with what is to come in this market. So although people may be a little over leveraged in both directions, I'm not looking at this particularly as a sell signal just because it was, dark purple, mostly leverage, because we saw this push up massively. It was like a 40% pump. I'm just saying, keep this on your radar. But there's other data like this. 4 top signals in Bitcoin's history. Each corresponded to a top, but we are nowhere near one. Look at this top. Look at this top. Look at this top. Look at the bottom here. We are nowhere even near what a Bitcoin top would look like based on this metric. Now we have 4 launch signals in Bitcoin's history, and every 1 cent Bitcoin's price parabolic. That's the one that just triggered, as you see right here. Look at how low this is. A bump, boom, and now it's starting to curve back up. Look, bump, boom, curve back up. Look at where this was before the final leg. Bump, okay, boom, started to curve back up. That's before the final leg. Much like the other chart we were just looking at right here, this signaled before you got the final move. Signaled before you got the final move. There are so many metrics that are saying higher. And then we got this. When we look at the altcoins out there, how many of you hold at least 50% or more of your portfolio in altcoins? And I'm not hating on you. Everybody has different interests, different reasons, different strategies that they're deploying in this market. And there's no right or wrong way to do this. There's just good strategies and bad strategies. If you are in altcoins, then make sure you're in altcoins that you're not worried if that particular coin you have goes to zero, does it wreck you? Does it only wreck a percentage of your portfolio? That's why I'm diversified across several altcoins that are specific to different niches within the market. And I share that in that Discord as well with portfolio updates. And what we're seeing here, shout out to Alexandra G, just seeing she just gifted 5 BitLab memberships. Big love to you. We got Misty, Misfit, TY, Set, Token Tide Temptress, welcome back, my friend. Jumpman, what's up? Shout out to you. I know you're out there in Texas. I hope everything's all right with you. Kingston Crows, big love to you. We got the fam here. Thanks for all the Alpha Kelly. Hit the like. That guy, shout out to you. And you got the blue, almost full blue membership badge. So for those of you, when you become a member, you get these little BitLab beakers and it starts empty. And every 3 months it fills up, fills up, fills up. Then it changes colors. I think at like 6 months or a year to blue. And then that fills up and then it turns green when you've hit that maximum threshold, which some of you might be hitting green here in the near future. 99% of my portfolio is alt, says Celinda Anderson. Shout out to you. Well, let's look at it. This is what I'm seeing. I agree with this with Ted Pillows. President Trump has signed a $3 to $5 trillion spending bill. This is going to be a spending bill. There's going to be money printing. We have the Fed rates there's a possibility that the markets get shocked in July, at the end of July, next FOMC meeting, and we get an actual rate cut that would just absolutely moon the markets. If that doesn't happen, then we're definitely getting one in September. We also have all the trade deals coming in that's going to start the momentum forward with certainty in the markets. And we're also seeing the stablecoin bill that passed that is kind of really bringing Ethereum to the attention of corporates and big money, data-driven players out there. And yet everybody's wondering, is the alt season going to happen? Yes. It's just taken a lot more time to move the ship this cycle because there's so much more involved and it's only more bullish. Although it's taken longer, is giving us more fuel for the fodder to push this market higher and higher. So they are about to print trillions of dollars again. Raise your targets. And alts are going to go much higher because we have this chart right here. And then we also got this chart right here from El Crypto Prof. As you can see right here, great account. Make sure you're following. But we had this cycle top, the bottom, top, bottom. And then we had the accumulation with the double hump accumulation, double hump accumulation. It's almost as if we've been so impatient, we forgot to look at the shape of how these things play out. Now, has this been stretched out in terms of how much time it's taken? Sure, but the ship is a lot bigger. You know how hard it is to turn a cruise ship around? A hell of a lot harder than it is to turn a canoe. Why? Because there's so much more energy in the mass of a cruise ship. Just like we're in markets, there's so much more monetary energy and psychological energy and corporate energy and sovereign energy and government, finance control and budget and monetary. It's going to happen. It's going to pop and it's going to be magnificent when those of you that are still stacking ride this wave to the mother promised land. I do still very much think it's going to happen. And then that was what we were seeing, the setup for liftoff. But then we look at this. What is this random chart? Well, BlackRock Ethereum, Superstate Ethereum, Franklin Templeton Ethereum, Apollo Ethereum, Wisdom Tree Ethereum, Ondo Finance Ethereum. But what is this really talking about? The tokenized assets under management on Ethereum just hit an all-time high. It's at an all-time high. And yet everybody's wondering, how come the alts aren't moving? Ethereum is the bellwether for what's going to happen in alts. And I'm telling you, watch Ethereum. Something really is brewing. The price hasn't kept up with the insanely bullish fundamental data. And you can see this absolutely mooning here. Even since, look at this, January 2024 to July 2025. I mean, look at these massive shifts here, especially considering we just got massively impactful regulation supporting stablecoins. Stablecoins are what? Primarily on Ethereum. This is massive for the alt market, including other chains like Tron and Solana. But what is about to come is going to blow people away because it's not just assets under management. We got Ethereum net flows. $1.3 billion last week. Ethereum is not slowing down. And look at this relative to other chains. I mean, even Solana, this overwhelmingly eclipses it. It's as if the data is telling you something is setting up for something major. Everybody wants to look at price and go, why price not move? Who gives a shit what the price says? Look at here when we're looking at the price and we realize when we're looking at Ethereum, okay, it's consolidating here at this level. It's fighting with the trend line that comes all the way back here to 2022, multi-year trend line. It's not moving yet. However, we're seeing data. Where's that data at? We're seeing data here showing massive growth in the ecosystem, massive activity in the ecosystem. The largest number of assets under management just hit in the ecosystem of Ethereum. And yet people go, why is price not moving? People that make money in this market don't see this and wonder, oh, we go, oh, the data is getting stronger. I'm pushing my bid higher, meaning I'm pushing more into that asset, or being more confident with being patient and letting the data then carry over into the explosion in the price action. The setups are here, everybody. The setups are here. We just need to let them fully develop before the liftoff fully occurs. But it's not just, Ethereum. We're also seeing Binance. That's why this is on the thumbnail. The number of daily active addresses on BNB chain continues to trend upwards and has more than doubled from 1 million active addresses to 2.2 million in the last 3 months. And yet when we look at BNB, for some reason, a lot of people in the West don't really pay attention to this. But remember, there's 8 billion people in the world. There's countries and continents all over the globe. There's different focuses and different interests in different geographic locations. And Binance is the largest exchange out there. The Binance token, BNB, is what we're looking at, has been, look at this. This has been consolidating sideways. Look at this for 488 days with, exciting, scary. Okay, come back. Exciting, scary, exciting, scary. Oh, no, I'm not as excited. Okay, it's not as scary. But then pop. Oh, this has just been distributing out of weak hands into stronger and stronger hands. And what do we have? We have this band here that comes all the way back to the top of 2021. Rejection, rejection. So we have this established. But then look where this rejected, rejected, rejected. We have a flat level of resistance with a rising level of support. This chart pattern is called an ascending triangle, where the support is angled up. The bears tried to bring it down. Okay, they tried again. They can't bring it down as far. They try again. They can't bring it down as far. They try again. They can't bring it. So the bulls, by nature of seeing the bears getting weaker and weaker at bringing it down, the bulls are gaining strength here, while the bears are only able to hold it at the same, basically with a little deviation here, basically this flat level of resistance. I think this is spring loading into a mega move for Binance. How many of you out there stack Binance? I'm going to take that from the widest point. I'm going to measure this out. I'll do it from there, not even all the way at the top. This is suggesting a move breakout up into the $1,200 range. However, when you look at the price action here, what happened? Look at this. Look at this move. This move is monumental. This is, golly, just from this breakout point, 1,400% from this breakout point. If we did that, this is not going to happen. But let's get a little crazy. Let's get a little crazy here. From this breakout point, if we went 1,400%, that would be a $9,900 BNB. I don't think this is going to happen. This would be insane. If this happened, the entire alt market is 40x, 60x. This would be insane. What's more likely is a move that is smaller than this, because remember, this is logarithmic. But if you just take the measured moves along the way, I could see this getting to $2,200, $2,700 at the market cycle top. But let's take it one step at a time. From this low to basically roughly about where these highs are, you measure this move out, boom. You could do it from the low side. You could do it from the high side. But this is suggesting low side, $1,100, high side. This is just the breakout target from this pattern up here to about $1,300. That's respectable. It's nothing to balk at. That's it's 100% move from here. And again, this is only a target out of this pattern. Then other patterns will be formed. If this pushes up into a bull flag, then you get another target higher from there. We're going to take these things one leg at a time. Mighty Mag asked Alexander or Kelly, it's above my pay grade. I hope you, okay, what? How does company collab with you? How does a company collab with you? What do you mean? Like we have Bitcoin IRA and Arculus? Send me an email, or you can send me an email, kelly@bitlabacademy.com. We are very specific about companies that we do take partnerships with that have positive utility, positive impact, that are doing big things, very trusted people in the space. Of course, we just did a partnership with People's Reserve, but that's Bitcoin mortgages and leveraging your assets to navigate your world without having to sell your Bitcoin. So we're very specific, and I would be so I'm doing well, but I would be so rich if I just took every partnership of money that was, I just can't do it. I'd rather slowly grind, provide positive utility, positive data, positive alpha for you guys, and not take all the, I just can't do it. It's because you guys are like family to me. I want to make sure that we give you meaningful resources that are not tainted by some money promotion and nonsense and all that sorts of things. But I love you guys. I appreciate you guys so much. But what else we got? We got Solana also kind of trapped in this range. Everything's kind of range bound, right? I think in the next 2-3 days, I'm not really worried about what's going to happen. I think coming out of after July 9th, where the trade deals are supposed to be somewhat finalized, although that date was pushed to August 1st. August 1st is when the tariffs actually go into they're actually happening. But I do think we're going to start seeing a lot of trade deals, and that could start seeing some momentum to the upside. But I think following about July 10th, 11th, 12th, I think into the second half of the month, we really start to see some positive price action. Aerodrome also given some great opportunities here. And where did it reject? Look, pushed up into a trend line that we've had drawn here since March 7th. Support lost. Okay, rejected under it. Okay, rejected under it again. And Aerodrome is getting a bit of a sell-off. Does it mean it's over? No, I think Aerodrome's going to do fantastic this cycle. And because I think Aerodrome's going to do fantastic this cycle, when I see this drop from these highs down to where it's at, down 24%, this means, you know, as we mine money in our life with our jobs, with, you know, contract work, with whatever you're doing, to have money, liquid capital that you can invest in the market, or if you have some dry powder on the sideline, when you see this, you're like, holy moly, I get another opportunity with a 25% discount. That's how I look at this. Now, if this drops further, great. If this comes down into this zone here, and and I talked about this last week, by the way, before this came down, if this comes down in the 57 to 60 cent range, fantastic. Because we're looking at what's coming into the end of the year. Let's take advantage of the chop here. Volatility is our friend. Love you too, dude. We just want to provide education to our users, and pushing them to you makes sense. Oh, big love to you, Mighty Mag. Shoot me an email, Kelly, Kelly. Everybody spells my name wrong for some reason. Kelly at bitlabacademy.com, or shoot me an email, shoot me a DM on Twitter. Full moon on the 10th. Look at that. So I was just saying, we'll likely get a pump around the 10th or 11th. And there's a full moon on the 10th as well. And now I'm not necessarily a moon guy, but you cannot argue with something that has a pretty strong damn correlation. Let's look at the moon phases. As silly as you might think this is, full moon up, 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 but it came into rejection. Full moon up. Full moon up, full moon up, full moon up, full moon up, but it came into rejection. Full moon up, chop. Okay, but I mean, the correlation here, full moon up, full moon up, full moon up, full moon continuation up, full moon up, down, but continuation. Full moon up. I mean, it's not 100%. It's just a funny, interesting correlation. Remember, moon cycles, I don't care if you're like, that's some witchcraft. No. The world is 70% water. The tides of the ocean are controlled by the gravity of the moon. Women's menstrual cycles are also set by the moon cycles, okay? They have direct correlations because we're also 70, 80% water ourselves. The moon has an impact on the biology of the world because there's so much water involved in the gravitational, all this kind of stuff. So we don't need to get into astrology. I'm not saying that, but let's look at the biomechanics of how the moon has affected things that you can measure by science. And remember, charts, when we're looking at charts, these are just a map of human psychology mapped out over time. The psychology of the bulls is dominant. The psychology of the bears takes over, but the bulls fight it back. So you're seeing the psychology mapped out. That's what a chart is. It's just a map of the human psychology of bullish and bearish narratives in the market. That's why you can take, your Fibonacci retracements like this option. Like I guarantee this is right in the golden pocket. Watch option F, go here, pull this down just like that. And look at that. So boom, breakdown. The bounce comes right here into what is that? That is the freaking golden pocket. Golden ratio. Fibonacci is the mathematical genius from hundreds of years ago that set out the golden algorithm, the golden ratio of nature. People are part of nature. Charts are a map of people's emotions. So somehow you get the laws of nature and how tree branches organize where branches are going to grow, how flower petals are so symmetrical. And yet it also is apparent when you look into a chart of how psychology plays out because we're human when you're looking at charts. It governs or in some ways guides or has impact in all things. So similarly, when we come over here and look at this chart, see this 2.618, 3.618, 4.618. These are Fibonacci extension targets for where price action goes. Because when you come back over here, those are just speculative. Great. Everything you do forward looking in Bitcoin is speculative because everything looking forward is always going to be going into price discovery. So you have to find something that gives you some sort of guiding principle about what might be possible. Again, might. So here's the top here. Here's the bottom. Let's take a fib retracement here with a fib extension on it. Boom. Okay, where'd this go? 2.618 to 3.618. Look at that. Went right in between these zones. Okay, let's look at the previous cycle. Boom. This one's going to be more because we had a lot more growth on this one. I mean, this one went all the way into like the 9.618. So looking at what we're seeing here, boom, let's delete this. Let's still move this here. Let's take a fib retracement from here. And then you have an extension that I've mapped out to the upside. And you see this, we have the 2.618 about 150. And again, these are drawn a little bit subjectively, right? Yeah, about 150, 3.618, 202, 4.618, 254. Now there's no telling when and where they're going to potentially go to these levels, but this happens over and over and over, even right here. Measure this. Okay, let's see where this went. Look at that. The breakdown from here to this point, and you see a fib extension to the upside. Look at where this went. 2.618. This is where it had a little bit a consolidation before continuation. So, and look at where it stopped, right at the 6.618. I mean, I don't care if these things are absolute or if they're so regularly aligned with what's happening price action that, okay, I'll continue to use them as an ingredient, not the only, in addition to other things we're looking at, like what's going on with Fed interest rates, what's going on with the dynamic of markets, what's going on with capital flow, what's going on with a massive news narrative shift, like the Chinese mining ban, which sparked a lot of fear in the markets. And everybody says the market broke down here because of the Chinese mining ban. But regardless of that news narrative, what have we talked about here? Massive bullish impulse to the upside. Sharper, massive bullish impulse to the upside. See how this went? The angle came up. Now what happened next? We got a little bit smaller. And then look at this, a little bit smaller. Okay. And then look at this, a little bit smaller. And not only that, when you look at this, let's go over here to the same time, right here, who cared about the Chinese mining narrative? Because look at the Bitcoin, look at the RSI. Bearish divergence all the way in leading up to when that news story came out. So yes, pay attention to some news narrative stuff, but also realize there's data in the charts that gives you signal that can forecast when there might be a big news event. I don't know why that is. Maybe we're all living in a simulation, but there's so much here, guys. I love you. I appreciate you. I got to go because I got to run and go host something on the Mario Nightfall channel. It's actually with Coin Stats. So if you want to tune into that, I'll share it on my page as well. But big love to each and every one of you. I love you. Thank you for the new members that have joined. I do appreciate each and every one of you. Again, I'm going to start sharing a lot more of what I'm doing. Not all, but some of the stuff that I'm doing in that members area for the Discord. I'm going to share it for those of you that are BitLab members here. And again, it's only the stuff that I'm doing. I can't share what Josh and DZ and all them are doing, but you get the benefit of some of the stuff I'm doing in there for members. I want to make sure we take care of all of you members that are here on BitLab. I love you. I appreciate you. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Find some gratitude in your heart. Find some love for yourself. Forgive yourself for things or issues or errors you made. Hey, every day is a new opportunity. Let's stay positive. I fall off. I'm super positive. I fall off my path every once in a while. You guys see me crash out on stream sometimes. I've just made it my mission to be more authentic with you all. So you know exactly who I am. You know exactly what I'm about. You might hear some off-color jokes. You might hear, you just going to get me. I got tired of people meeting me at conferences and realizing that I was so much different than what I was like on air because I am a silly mother goose and I'm emotional. I kind of crash out sometimes, but you guys get all of me. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. I'm grateful for you. We are here. before 7.5 billion people in the world. Let's not mess this up. Big love to you. That's all I got. Adios.